Hello guys, thank you so much for watching Cloudbug. I am Akshit. Welcome back to another tech video. In today's Terraform session, I am going to discuss about Terraform state, which is the most important part of Terraform. Before watching this video, I would suggest you to go through my previous videos on Terraform basics, Terraform providers, and Terraform resources. Link is attached in the description below. Also, you can see the link on the top right corner. Before proceeding further, let's see the outline of today's talk. I am going to start with what is Terraform state, followed by why we need Terraform state, and then types of Terraform state, in which I am going to discuss about remote state and local state, and then how to store state remotely on S3, and then Terraform state command and subcommands, and in the last, I am going to discuss some of the do and don'ts of Terraform state. So let's get started. First topic in the stack is Terraform state. Terraform must store state about your managed infra and configuration. This state is used by Terraform to map real-world resources to your configuration, keep track of metadata, and to improve performance for large infra. This means the Terraform state will store all the state of the resources that exist in your Terraform configuration. This state is stored by default in local file named terraform.tfstate, but it can also be stored remotely, which works better in a team environment. Suppose you have a larger team, so it is suggested to use remote state instead of local state. Terraform uses this local state to create plans and make changes to your infra. Prior to any operation, Terraform does a refresh to update the state with the real infra. So whenever you are going to run Terraform plan or Terraform apply, the state is going to refresh. It means that Terraform will refresh the state of all the existing resources in Terraform. The primary purpose of Terraform state is to store bindings between object in a remote state and resources instances declared in your configuration. I hope that Terraform state is now clear to you. Let's move to the next topic, which is why we need Terraform state. So the first question which generally comes in our mind is it possible for Terraform to work without state, or for Terraform not to use state and just inspect cloud resources on every run? Why Terraform state is required? So I'm going to cover the answer of all these questions in coming slides. So the first reason is mapping to the real world. Terraform requires some sort of database to map Terraform config to the real world. When you have a resource AWS instance in your configuration, Terraform uses this map to know the instance ID is represented by that resource. So in order to know the resource, Terraform will use the map to know the instance ID which is represented by the resource. Early prototypes of Terraform actually had no state files and used tags. However, we quickly ran into a problem. The first major issue was a simple one: not all the resources support tag and not all the cloud providers support tags. For mapping configuration to the resources in the real world, Terraform uses its own state structure. So previously, when Terraform came in the market, there was no such kind of state. So previously Terraform uses tags. So then we ran into a problem where all the cloud provider doesn't support tags. So that's the reason Terraform state is required. Next point is metadata. Alongside the mappings between resources and remote objects, Terraform must also track metadata such as resource dependencies. Terraform typically uses the configuration to determine dependency order. However, when you delete a resource from a Terraform configuration, Terraform must know how to delete that resource. It means, suppose we have one EC2 instance and we have attached one Elastic IP to it. So, Elastic IP is dependent on EC2 instance. So, Terraform should know how to delete and which to delete the first instance. To ensure correct operation, Terraform retains a copy of the most recent set of dependencies within the state Now, Terraform can still determine the correct order of destruction from the state when you delete one or more items from the configuration. So, as Terraform creates one state file, also it creates one backup file. So, when you delete suppose you have deleted some resources, then Terraform will know how to delete other resources which are dependent on it using the backup file. Next point is performance. In addition to basic mapping, Terraform stores a cache of attribute values for all the resources in the state. This is a most optional feature of Terraform state and is done only as a performance improvement. When running a Terraform plan, Terraform must know the current state of resources in order to effectively determine the changes that it needs to make to reach your desired configuration. So whenever you are going to run Terraform plan, it is going to refresh all the state of existing resources. For small infra, Terraform can query your providers and sync the latest attributes from all your resources. This is your default behavior of Terraform. For every plan and apply, Terraform will sync all resources in your state. So Terraform is going to hit the state file and will be syncing all the resources. For larger infra, querying every resource is too slow. Many cloud providers do not provide APIs to query multiple resources at once. On top of this, cloud providers almost have API rate limiting, so Terraform can only request a certain number of resources in a given period of time. Larger users of Terraform make heavily use of the refresh equal to false flag as well as the target flag in order to work around this. So when you have big infra in which there are hundreds of resources and you want to make changes to only one resource, so when are you going to run Terraform plan, then it is going to refresh all the state of all the resources. So here generally people use either target flag or the refresh flag and set it to false. Next point is syncing. In the default configuration, Terraform stores the state in a file in the current working directory when Terraform was run. This is okay for getting started, but when using Terraform in a team, it is important for everyone to be working with the same state so that operations will be applied to the same remote objects. Remote state is the recommended solution to this problem. With a fully featured state backend, Terraform can use remote locking as a measure to avoid two or more different users accidentally running Terraform at the same time, and thus ensure that each Terraform run begins with the most recent updated state. So suppose if you are going to use local state, then the state will be different for all the users. Suppose I am making change to EC2 instance, that won't be reflected to the another users. So the idea is use remote state to avoid all the conflicts. I hope it is clear that why we need Terraform state. In the coming slides, I am going to share one example of that also that will clear more doubts. So the next topic in the stack is types of Terraform state. Generally, we have two types of Terraform state. One is local state and one is remote state. So let's discuss these states one by one. So the first one is local Terraform state. Terraform store resource configuration in the local directory in which we run Terraform apply. That state is called local Terraform state. So suppose I'm going to create any resource using Terraform, so then the Terraform will automatically create one state file in that particular folder, which will be having the state of that particular resource. The local backend stores state on the local file system, logs that state using system APIs and perform operations locally. By default, local Terraform state file is created in every folder we run apply, but you can assign one specific location for all the Terraform resources. So if you're not going to give any path for the Terraform state, then Terraform will automatically create Terraform state file in every directories you are going to run Terraform apply. So the solution is always use Terraform state configuration. So in that configuration, you have to assign backend is local and the path where your terraform.tf state file exists. So then whenever we are going to create new resource, Terraform will check the state from this particular file. So guys, as you can see, we don't have any running instance in AWS as of now. So let's create couple of resources. So as you can see, in this directory we have two resources. One is EC2 and another one is Elastic IP. So let me show you what I have in these files. So in EC2 I have one AWS instance of name Cloudberg, first instance, and in Elastic IP there is one Elastic IP which we are going to attach with this particular instance. So let's create these two resources. So first of all we have to run terraform init, now terraform plan. So as there no existing state, so it will there is nothing to refresh, so it is going to show us the plan. So as you can see, this particular instance will be created and this Elastic IP will be created. So now let's run terraform plan, terraform apply. 2 to add, 0 to change and 0 to destroy. Before running terraform apply, make sure to see this one, 2 to add, 0 to change and 0 to destroy. Now enter value which is yes. So it is creating one AWS instance Cloudberg. It will take some time, like around couple of, I think 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, it is creating. So let's wait till it creates. So till then we can see what all is going to create in EC2 instance. So you can see the AMI ID is one which we have assigned in the Terraform configuration, and the instance type is also there, T2 micro. Rest will be known after apply. So the AWS instance Cloudberg has been created. Now it is creating, already created Elastic IP. Now let's check out the console. Now you can see the new instance is there which is in running state, and we can also see the Elastic IP with this instance. So this is the Elastic IP. Yeah, it is done. So now you can see we have one file which is terraform.tf state. Let me show you what I have in this file. So here you can see it is having the complete state, complete data of the resource and the Elastic IP. So this is the resource and there is also Elastic IP. So this is the Elastic IP. Now I have another folder in the same directory. I have one more folder which is this. Now I have one EC2 instance and I'm going to create it. So as of now there is no state file. So when I'm going to run terraform init, it is going to initialize all the provider plugins, say AWS. So it is initializing the plugins. So it's done. Now we are going to run terraform plan. So as you can see, it is written there like the refresh state will be used to calculate this plan, but there is no state as of now in this folder. So it shows that this plan will be executed. One instance will be created. Okay, so now run terraform apply. Yes. So it is creating one instance of name Cloudberg. Let's see. Yeah, so it is creating one instance, but it should not have created this instance as we have already created it. So you can see after this instance will be created, there will be one Terraform state for this particular folder. So it is not a good approach. Like we cannot create state for different directories. So the solution here is, like you can see, there is one Terraform state. So the solution here is we can create one file, say backend.tf. So we will create one file backend.tf. Let me show you. Yeah, so yeah, let's move that file. I have that file in this folder. I'm going to move one backend file to my Terraform directory. This is the folder. Now let's enter into our Terraform directory. So yeah, now we have one backend state. Now let me show you what I have in this file. You can see we are creating one Terraform state file backend which is local, and the path is this CloudBug. We are already in CloudBug, as you can see. Now the state will be created in this folder. Okay, let me remove this file for now. Or let's destroy all these resources. Let's ignore this. So this is our backend file now, and let's initialize the configuration. Terraform init. Now I'm going to again create these resources, EC2 instance and Elastic IP. So let's run Terraform plan. So these two resources will be created. Let's run Terraform apply. So the resource started creating. So both the resources has been created. As you can see, 2 resource added, 0 changed and 0 destroyed. So you can see the state file of these resources under this directory. So this is the state file. Now I am going to use the same state file in another Terraform configuration directories. So I'm going to copy this backend, and this is another directory. I'm going to create one file with backend.tf. So yeah, it is created. Now let's create this particular EC2 instance. Now Terraform init. So it is going to initialize everything, and then Terraform plan. So it is going to refresh the state. Now it is refreshing the state. As you can see, So it is saying there is nothing to add, nothing to change, and one to destroy. So why it is saying that? See, it is destroying this particular elastic IP will be destroyed. So as you can see, it refreshed that particular state. So AWS instance already exists as we created a couple of time back. So now there is no elastic IP configuration in this folder, as you can see. So it is destroying this particular elastic IP. So it is good to use one Terraform state for all the Terraform configuration in that particular environment. So I'm using the same configuration. So this is the best example. Next state is remote Terraform state. When working with Terraform in a team, use of local file makes Terraform usage complicated because each user must make sure they always have the latest state data before running Terraform, and make sure that nobody else runs Terraform at the same time. With remote state, Terraform writes the state data to a remote data store, which can then be shared between all members of a team. So the idea behind remote Terraform state is you are going to create one Terraform file and store it in a remote location, say S3, and all the members of the team will going to use that particular file from S3 before making any changes to the Terraform configuration. Terraform supports storing state in Terraform Cloud, HashiCorp Console, Amazon S3, Alibaba Cloud OSS, and more. So in the coming slides, I'm going to take an example of Amazon S3. Remote state as a feature of backends. Configuring and using remote backends is easy, and you can get started with remote state quickly. Now let's see the benefits of using remote state. So the first point is delegation and teamwork. Remote state gives you more than just easier version control and safer storage. It allows you to delegate the output to other teams. This allows team to share infra resources in a read-only way without relying on any additional configuration store. So suppose I want to give some of the output of my Terraform configuration, say some of the subnets, to another team, so I can make use of remote state and do that. For example, a core infra team can handle building the core machines, networking, and can expose some information to other teams to run their own infra. As a more specific example, with AWS, you can expose things such as, like I said, VPC ID, subnets, net instances ID through remote state and have Terraform state consume that. So let's see this example of remote Terraform state, how other team is consuming the resources of another team. So I'm using the data here. So the data is Terraform remote state, and we are giving the output of VPC. So we have to also assign the configuration of the state, remote state. So then when we are going to create AWS instance, it is going to use directly the VPC, all the subnets settings under this particular instance. So you don't need to worry about creating or launching another set of VPC and subnets. You can use the VPC from another state as well. Next point is locking and teamwork. For fully featured remote backends, Terraform can also use state locking to prevent concurrent runs of Terraform against the same state. Suppose if I am making some changes to Terraform configuration and in the same time some another user try to make some changes, then Terraform will say, hey, stop it, the state is locked. So that particular user will see that the state is currently logged by me. So using remote state, there will be no chances of conflicts. Terraform Cloud by HashiCorp is a commercial offering that supports an even stronger locking concept that can also detect attempts to create a new plan when an existing plan is already awaiting approval. So suppose if I run Terraform plan, then in the meantime, another user can't make any changes to Terraform until and unless my plan is approved by querying Terraform operation in a central location. This allows team to more easily coordinate and communicate about changes to infra. So let's see the example of remote Terraform state. Now I'm going to show you how to store Terraform state remotely on AWS S3. Stores the state as a given key in a given bucket on Amazon S3. This backend also supports state locking and consistency checking via DynamoDB. So if you want to enable the feature of state locking, you can make use of DynamoDB, which can be enabled by setting the DynamoDB table field to an existing DynamoDB table name. A single DynamoDB table can be used to lock multiple remote state files. Terraform generates key name that includes the value of bucket and key variables. It is highly recommended that you enable bucket versioning on S3 bucket to allow for state recovery in the case of accidental deletion and human error. So as you are storing your state file to the S3, so suppose in case if you delete that particular file accidentally, then if you have bucket versioning enabled, you can recover the state easily. This is how we store state remotely on S3. So here we have to give backend S3. We are going to store remote on AWS S3. Then bucket, this is a name of S3 bucket. So first of all, create one bucket and then use it in Terraform configuration. Next is key. Key is nothing, it is just the path of state file inside the S3 bucket, which is terraform.tfstate. Next is region. AWS region of the S3 bucket and Dynamo table if used. So Terraform will need the following AWS IAM permission on the target backend bucket. One is to list the bucket, to get the bucket, and to make changes to the bucket, put bucket. So let's see the demo of how to store Terraform state remotely on S3. One S3 bucket, because we will be storing the Terraform state to S3. So here I have created one bucket with name CloudBug, which have this file terraform.tfstate. Now we will write the Terraform backend configuration for storing the Terraform state to S3. So this is our backend configuration. As you can see, the backend is S3, bucket name is CloudBug, and the key is terraform.tfstate. Key is nothing, just the location of Terraform state file. Now let's first initialize this. So do two things. One, it will initialize the backend. Second, it will initialize all the providers plugins. So Terraform has been successfully initialized. Now we will run Terraform plan. While we run Terraform plan, let's see what we have right now in Terraform state file. So if I open this file, we can see we don't have nothing here. We just have some Terraform information, but not any resource. So now as we can see, this plan will add two things. One is our EC2 instance, which is CloudBug, and second thing is CloudBug IP, which is our Elastic IP. Now let's run Terraform apply. So Terraform apply will take some time. So it is asking, yes, we can perform this action. So basically it is adding two resources. Now AWS instance is getting created. Let's see on console. Okay, so let me open another window for EC2 instance. Service name is EC2 and the region is US West 2, which is Oregon, and we can just check the instance. Yeah, we can see the CloudBug first instance is right now running and it is initializing. It is about to complete, I guess. Yeah, so instance has been created successfully. Now it is creating the IP and it is done. Yeah. So elastic IP is also created. We can see. So this is our elastic IP. So yeah, now we can check our Terraform state file again. So previously there was nothing other than the Terraform info. Now when we check the Terraform file, let's see. So yeah, we can see the resources here. So the first resource is this AWS EIP of name CloudBug IP, and the second resource is AWS instance. So as you can see, now the state is being stored on S3, and we can directly push and pull this state using the Terraform state commands. So next topic in the stack is Terraform state commands. The Terraform state commands is used for advanced state management. So you can manage your state by using couple of commands in Terraform. As your Terraform usage become more advanced, there are some cases where you may need to modify the Terraform state. Rather than modify the state directly, the Terraform state commands can be used in many cases. So it is suggested not to make any changes manually in the Terraform state, but if you want to change your Terraform state directly, then you can use these Terraform state commands. So the syntax is quite simple. It is Terraform state space subcommand and then with options and arguments. This command is a nested subcommand, meaning it has further subcommands. These commands are used to check the state. So let's go through these subcommands one by one. First subcommand is list. The Terraform state list command is used to list the resources within a Terraform state. So the syntax is Terraform state list with option and address. So as you can see in the first example, Terraform state list. So this will list down all the Terraform resources you have in your Terraform configuration. So you can also run Terraform state list. If you want to check the state of any specific resource or module, you can simply run Terraform state list and then module.elb. So here elb is a module. Or you can also check any resource, say AWS instance.bar. So here bar is a AWS instance. So you can check all the instances with name bar. Also, you can check the state by giving the ID. So in the last example, we have given the security group ID. So you can list down the state associated with this ID. Next subcommand is mv. The Terraform state mv command is used to move items in Terraform state. This command can move single resource, single instances of the resource, entire modules and more. And the syntax is Terraform state mv with some options and source and destination. So as you can see in the first example, here we are renaming a resource. So basically we are renaming this worker resource with the helper resource. And then in the next example, we are moving a resource into a module. So as you can see here, worker is a resource and we are moving it into a module which is worker module. And then in the third example, we are moving a module into a module. So we are moving this module.app into module.parent.module.app. And in the last example, we are moving a module to another state. So suppose if you want to move any configuration or any module to some another state, so we can just provide the state path and the module name. Next subcommand is pull command. Terraform state pull command is used to manually download and output the state from a remote state. This command also works with local state, and the syntax is Terraform state pull. Next command is push command. The Terraform state push command is used to manually upload a local state file to remote. From the name it is clear, like we are pushing something. So here we are pushing the state file to a remote state. This command also works with local state. And the syntax is Terraform state push. This command will push the state specified by path to the currently configured backend. So you can, when you have to move any local Terraform state to remote state, you can make use of Terraform push command. Next command is replace provider. Terraform state replace provider command is used to replace the provider for resources in a Terraform state. So here provider means the configuration or the cloud provider that you are using. It can be AWS, it can be GCP, it can be Azure, it can be any cloud provider. And the syntax is Terraform state replace provider from provider FQN to provider FQN. So suppose I want to change from AWS to GCP, so it will be from AWS to GCP. This command will update all the resources using the from provider setting, the provider to specify to provider. This allows changing the source of a provider which currently has resource in state. As you can see in the below example, here we are replacing AWS provider to Acme, hosted at private registry at registry.acme.com. So yeah, it can be used when you want to change your provider. And the next subcommand is RM. As it is clear from the name itself, RM means we are removing something. So this command is used to remove items from the Terraform state. This command can remove single resource, single instance of a resource, entire modules and more. And the syntax is Terraform state RM option and address. As you can see in the first example, here we are removing a resource by using the command Terraform state RM and the resource name. In the next example, we are removing a module, Terraform state RM module.full. So yeah. And in the next example, we are removing a module resource. So instead of removing the complete module, we are just removing the resource of any module using the command Terraform state RM module.resourcename.worker. And then we can also remove a resource configured with count. So suppose I have 10 instances with same resource name and I want to delete the first instance. So I can simply run Terraform state RM resource name and in the bracket 0. And the next subcommand is show command. It is a very much used command when it comes to Terraform state. This command is used to show the attributes of a single resource in the Terraform state. And the syntax is Terraform state show. As you can see in the first example, this example shows a packet device resource named worker. So if I want to see the state of any particular resource, I can simply run Terraform state show and then the resource name. In the next example, we are seeing how to check the state of a module. So as we did for resource, similarly we will do for module as well, Terraform state show and the module name. And we can also show the state for any resource configured with count. So this is all about Terraform state subcommands. I hope it is clear now. Now let's move into the next and the last topic of today's session, which is do and don'ts of Terraform state. So let's check out do first. Always use remote state for better locking, teamwork, security, and better syncing. As we already discussed, it is suggested to use remote state instead of local state when it comes to larger infra. Always use locking with Terraform state just to avoid inconsistency and conflicts. So yeah, suppose I am making any changes, so in the meantime another user should not have access to make any changes. Let's check out the don'ts. Don't use the local state in larger team and infra. So as we discussed also, don't change the state manually unless very necessary. So it is suggested not to change your state manually as it can lead to inconsistency. If you want to change the state directly, then you can make use of Terraform command that we discussed in the last slide. Don't use Git to store your state file, use TF backends. So always use TF backends to store your state file because it has many information regarding your resources. So you can make use of any backend like I showed in the last slides that you can use S3 backend as well. Now let's see the summary of what all we discussed today. So first we discussed what is Terraform state, then we discussed why state is required, then what are the types of state, in which we discussed about local state and remote state with example. Then we discussed why should we use remote state and how to store state remotely in S3 with an example. And then we have gone through some couple of commands regarding Terraform state, and in the last we discussed about do and don'ts. So I hope now the Terraform state is clear to all of you. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions so far, then you can directly reach out to me on any of my social platform like LinkedIn, Instagram or Facebook. Username is same on all the platform, which is Cloudbug. Or you can also mail me at cloudbugtech@gmail.com. Do not forget to like, comment, share and subscribe Cloudbug. If you like this video, do let me know, and if you don't, do let me know how can I make it better. I come with new video every Thursday, so stay tuned. Bye guys.